I'm sorry. But you feel the crimes that were committed by Israel in Gaza, which were facilitated by certain Arab states, or at least not countered by a number of Arab states, aren't these crimes equal to the crimes that were committed in Darfur by al-Bashir? I mean, this is the point, you see.
No. How can you differentiate?
Okay, we're not here to discuss Israel.
Who is the differentiation here?
I want him also to answer me. Who is the victim for the people of Darfur?
On what
Who's
grounds?
going to pay them? Who's going to serve them justice?
Who makes that distinction?
No, excuse me.
On what differentiation can you make between Darfurians and Gazans?
You've made your point. Thank you very much. You've made your point. I'm going to take a word from him, and then I'll come to you.
This is
Ahmed Hassan Adam. One point, and then I'm going to Roland Marchal.
This is real standard, actually. Because my question is, who is going to serve justice for the people of Darfur, the victim of Darfur? Who is going to serve justice for 700,000 who are refugees right now in camp?
Okay.
Who is going to serve justice for 4.5 million right now in Darfur?
Okay, Roland Marchal.
Instead of talking about the jurisdiction of the
we got your point. Roland Marchal.
Yeah, it should be seen as an international obligation. Why? Not because of the Rome status, but because the resolution that asked the ICC to look on Darfur has been passed under Chapter 7 of the United Nations. Now, the question you have to raise is how many resolutions passed under Chapter 7 by the Security Council are not respected by permanent members, members of the Security Council and members of the General Assembly? You will find quite a lot.
Do two wrongs make a right?
No, that's, I mean, if
do two wrongs make a right? Just because that was wrong doesn't mean this is wrong as well?
It shows how many standards we have. Certainly not one.
Gentleman in the second row. Gentleman in the second row.
Hassan Ibrahim from Sudan. I believe the issue is the suffering of the people of Darfur. Nobody should belittle the suffering and the crimes of Israel, and that is a totally different point. My problem is you're asking Arab states to hand over al-Bashir. That is not the job of the Arab states, that's the job of the Sudanese people, number one. Number two, all Arab countries didn't move a muscle when the people of Darfur were butchered and massacred since 2003. They don't care 2 cents about the fate of Darfur.
We have a question.
That is my problem. My question is, when are we going to see international responsibility? And don't you think the complicity of the superpowers, like, the US and other countries that actually sent envoys enticing President Bashir and encouraging him, is this complicity from the international community with President Bashir or not?
You asked your question. Please, just come to the main question.
I'm coming to the question, please, Mr. Sebastian, because I need to make a point. I'm sorry. I need to make a point. My point is...
Well, you don't need to. I'm going to let you make a point, but a brief one.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's very gracious. Very gracious of you.
There are a lot of people who want to make points.
Thank you.
We're here to answer questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is, do you think there is some tacit agreement between the US and the Sudanese government not to hand over President Bashir or not?
Okay, Ghazi Atabani.
No, there's nothing of that sort. Of course, something which would mislead you is that Sudan has a position regarding ICC. It so happens that the United States has more or less the same position. They think that it is too much politicized. But we have to remember, countries as important, as significant as Russia, China, India, many countries have the same objection. They think it is too politicized. That's the only concurrence.
The Russian delegate at the Security Council voted to
send that's the hypocrisy.
Voted to send the case to the International Criminal Court. You know that.
We know that 3 of the 5 permanent members were not signatory to the agreement, which means they are objecting to the agreement, and they decided to send Sudan. I mean, Sudan cannot be held responsible.
Right.
If I may,
no, please. I want to point from this side.
You know, having the ICC politicized or something that didn't give any kind of excuse actually for these people to commit crimes in Darfur, and is still committing these crimes.
The problem is you are committing crimes.
Okay, let me just finish this second point, and then you come to it.
Number 2, these people actually they accepted the 1593 resolution. They accepted. And Dr. Ghazi Salahuddin, I remember for interview with Al-Intibah, which is the government paper, he said that he blamed the government of Sudan for accepting that resolution. That resolution is very important.
Roland Marchal.
Just one point I want to mention to you is, what is at stake is not only the suffering of Darfur people, is the suffering or the situation for the whole population of Sudan. So the move on the ICC may have consequences much beyond Darfur, and this is the point we have tried to raise.
All right, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to take a question from the lady in the third row.
Good evening. My name is Nasat Jamal. I'm from Canada. My question is addressed to those who are speaking for the motion. If human rights discourse is based in Western liberalist philosophy, isn't your position culturally inappropriate and essentially a neo-colonialist one?
Do you have a neo-colonialist position, Hani Shukrallah?
Is torture culturally specific? Is rape culturally specific?
It can
Is
be.
murder culturally specific? I think, you know, I'm an Arab and a Muslim. I don't like to be tortured. I don't like my children to be killed. I don't want my wife or my mother or my sister to be raped.
Rape and murder in instances of genocide
this is
are
what
different.
we're talking about.
I'm sorry,
This is what we're talking about. This is humanitarian law. We're speaking about international humanitarian law in which all cultures have contributed. I think we as Arabs and Muslims, as much as any Christian or atheist in Europe or America, should deplore torture, should deplore murder, should deplore rape.
I want to hear from the questioner again. You had something to say about this?
I was saying that rape and murder in cases of war are completely different from regular instances. So
they're all war crimes. What do you mean?
Do you support the murder of Gazans
I personally am playing the devil's advocate. I agree with you, but I'm just doing it for the sake of debate.
Okay, thanks for admitting that. Right, we're going to move on to a gentleman in the sixth row there. You, sir.
I am Hassan Al-Jufairi. I am a Qatari human rights activist. I wrote a letter to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Qatar 2 days prior to the arrival of Bashir to stop issuing him a visa to come. My question to those speaking against the motion: why only those dictators supporting al-Bashir? I wrote that letter and I wrote 600 copies to all over Qatar. And 50% of the Sudanese read this letter, not even one complained about it.
Okay, so thank you very much. We have your question.
I am Hassan Al-Jufairi. Thank you.
Well, actually, those who showed support to President Bashir were not the dictators of the world. It was evident the masses in many Arab countries expressed their support, and that was very visible. Second thing is, Sudan is being supported by the African Union, if you recognize that institution. It's being supported by the Arab League. It's being supported by the Group of 77. It's being supported by the Non-Alignment Movement. It's being supported by the Caribbean and Pacific countries. Actually, even within the Security Council, quite a number of members of the Security Council are supporting Sudan. So you're not talking about an isolated dictator here who's being supported by other dictators.
I'm going to go back to the questioner here, and then the panel. Please.
I'm not happy of what you said. Only those, you're talking about Africans, those who took instructions from Gaddafi to support. When you talk about civilized countries and developed countries and countries who have reputation in human rights, those who never have been supporting al-Bashir, what he did.
Okay.
I'm talking about
I'm going to let Roland Marchal.
all violators of human rights should be taken to court, either in Gaza or any part of the world.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask Roland Marchal.
I give you 3 countries, okay? South Africa is a dictatorship. Just read newspapers. Is Ghana a dictatorship? Again, look, elections last year. They were exemplary. Is Benin, I'm sorry, is a French-speaking country,
Ahmed
a dictatorship, is a model for democracy in Africa.
He made 13 charities.
Ahmed Hassan Adam, please sit down. I'm
13 charities have been given aid to the Sudan.
Excuse me, sir. We've answered your question. I'm going to take one more point from this, and then will you please sit down?
He's talking about South Africa. Wait for Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma is coming, and he's never going to invite
Okay, I'm going to take a question from a lady in the 6th row. Thank you.